And we're back with AP as we see it, and our very special guest, Michael Butler, the host of WTLS, Montgomery Tallahassee, Lindy's Football Report. Michael, we were discussing the SEC, and we were going to discuss the four best quarterbacks. Did you have the top four in mind at this point? You have the top four quarterbacks in mind at this point?
Nico at Tennessee. Wait a minute. He's not there anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia quarterback. No, I'm kidding. It's funny how we have to keep up with the revolving door of where everybody.
Right.
It'd be tough to pick one, and everybody's picking Arch Manning, but we haven't really seen him play.
No.
So many times that a guy's waiting in the wings and he gets his chance, and he really has a banner year. And I go back to Alabama when Mac Jones finally got his shot. Maybe Ty Simpson. He would love to have a year like Mac Jones had in 2020.
Yes.
But Garrett Nussmeier is getting a lot of attention. We had kind of up-and-comers last year in Sellers at South Carolina and Lagway at Florida. Who's number one? I think Arch Manning is going to live up because I think he has the supporting cast around him. And I think that's always very important. How many
Super important.
High picks in the NFL draft, but they go to bad teams and they don't do so well. So he's got the guys around him to be good. It's going to be interesting to see if he could do it. And, having the Manning name, is that a blessing or a curse? Because the expectations are off the charts for him. And if he doesn't have a national championship contending season, he doesn't live up to the hype.
Well, yeah, I think that's all he's known his whole life. So I don't think it affects him. I don't think it affects a player because he's grown up with that legacy. And remember, his two uncles, they did not win in the national championships at their respective SEC schools.
They both right, but they'd never won a national title. You're right.
Yeah, they had very good reputations, high draft choices, some Super Bowls in there, but never won a national champion. As his granddaddy did not as well at Ole Miss. So if he can get into the playoffs, that'd be something great for him and his family. But yeah, the four quarterbacks: Nussmeier, Arch Manning, maybe Lenore Sellers, South Carolina, and then. I'm not sure who else is going to be one of those top four quarterbacks. But Ty Simpson, like you said, Mac Jones had his opportunity. That was the best quarterback I ever saw 1 year at Alabama, Mac Jones. And we've seen quite a few spectacular quarterbacks. But he set that national record, undefeated team, played 10 SEC teams. You cap off the season with a 55. I think it's 24 to win over Ohio State. That's a big name, Big Ten against the SEC.
To me, it is interesting that, and I was happy for him because he's a guy that didn't jump ship and go somewhere else like so many quarterbacks would, and he made the most of it. To me, I agree with you. I think it was the best year any quarterbacks have, and a lot of people would go back and look at LSU and what they did the year before with Burrow.
Joe Burrow, yes. Yeah,
but Mac Jones, what did Mac Jones have? He was very good, but he also had great players around him. I mean, there were three players from Alabama that were in the top five in the Heisman Bowl.
Oh, yeah, I voted for all three of them. It was a very difficult decision. But, yeah, he was the best I ever saw at Alabama 1 year. Joe Burrow was the best in college football I ever saw 1 year with the 60 touchdowns, 15 wins. Yeah, that remains the best for me. Joe Burrow at LSU. Joe Cool. I thought he was spectacular. Michael, which teams are poised to make a move in the rankings upwards?
I brought up Auburn, and I think I've seen a lot of preseason polls, and just about everyone's in the top 25. And I did look back again. I was talking about recent years. It has been, I think, 6 years since they've been in the top 25. The 2019 season at the end of the year when they were ranked at the end of the year in the top 25. They get Georgia and Alabama at home, and they always get those two either on the road or at home. That's can they win one or two of those games? I think they can. So Jackson Arnold, we talk about quarterbacks from Oklahoma to Auburn.
Yes.
Maybe the right fit for him to prove it, and Auburn gets over the hump. Again, I think it's 7-5 type season is a turnaround year for Auburn. 8-4, that would be a move up. I don't know if they're playoff worthy. I'm not really ready to go all in with that.
Right.
I'd be interested to see LSU. I brought up Nussmeier, and and the hype around him, the big arm. And Brian Kelly's been in these spots before. He's a heck of a coach. They had a down year last year. I would expect to see them rise up a little bit too.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think Auburn, I think the receiving corps should be better. Would you say?
Oh yeah, they had the talent last year. I think you got front lines got to protect. Have balance, being able to run the footballs consistently, and obviously give the quarterback time to throw. They've got weapons.
Mm-hmm. Michael, last year the SEC was eliminated. All three teams by double digits. Haven't made the championship game in a couple of years now for the league that it claims it just means more. What needs to happen for this league to have a resurgence?
Every year you and I go to SEC media days, and for years there was always championships, and they list off all the championships. And I just saw the NFL draft, and they listed the years the SEC has had the most draft picks. It goes back 50 years now. That I think the law of averages are going to catch up, that they're going to be back in the SEC when SEC team's going to be back in the national championship game. Who that is, I don't know, but the SEC, there's a power to everybody else. We call it a Power Four, but there's the Big Ten of the SEC. Notre Dame, an independent, was in there with Ohio State last year. I think an SEC team will be in the mix this year, because they've been there so much.
Right. Michael, is there a 5-year projection for you? And I'm going to say this. I'm not sure there's a team that's going to dominate in the next 5 years in the SEC. Within the league, I'm talking nationally. I mean, that's up for discussion. But in the league, do you think there's a team that might dominate the next 5 years?
I can't see it, AP. We thought that Kirby Smart was going to take the baton and run with it once Nick Saban retired.
Right.
6 championships before he's said and done. I think he's going to be good, but it's just so tough to compete. You got the best coaches in the country in this conference.
Right.
I like Sark at Texas. I like Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. I think as long as those guys are in there, there's no way that one team's just going to run away from the field. So I expect there to be, a lot of different teams competing for the championship. It will be one thing that we talked about all along with the NIL and collectives and the money through, that you can lure players through the transfer portal is, I think this line's been uttered many times. The rich get richer. The teams that have the money, that are investing in it at least, are going to continue to thrive. And we'll see those teams that invest. We said $40 million payroll, crazy money.
Right.
Going to have better players. And you can not like it until something's done about it. Maybe there's some sort of cap or something that's put in play that makes it a little bit more level playing field. But you can't blame kids. If you're 18 to 22 years old and somebody's offering you more money than the next guy, you may be to be loyal, but it's kind of tough it's easy for me to say something about it on this side of the microphone. But if I'm on the other side where those guys are getting offers like that, you can't blame.
Right. Well, Michael, that's one of my questions here. Why do the fans not like the transfer portal and paying players? But because I haven't talked to anybody that's really been in favor. It's a majority. Let's say maybe a person or two, but the majority, it's, I don't like this system. It's ruining college football. I'm saying ruining for who? Because you're going to show up and watch your team.
Sure. Yeah. It's so funny how many of those fans were in favor of kids getting paid, right?
Right.
Getting paid. They were getting a scholarship and a free ride. That was pretty good payment. I've had to pay for a college education for my daughter, so I know it costs a lot of money. So that's a nice
sure does.
Receiving. But so many folks in the college football fan base were like, pay these guys. They deserve their money. But it's so funny how and said, well, I don't like it. Just like you say, there's no reason for that.
Yeah.
I think it's partly because they don't like seeing guys leave their teams. They don't like to see the guys that were part of their, the team they root for take off just like that.
Yeah, I think so. That loyalty factor, they're believing, hey, we gave this person a lot of money coming out of high school, and we were trying to retain them and give them opportunities. Next, he's playing for our rival. He's keeping us out of the playoff, for instance. I think that's what it is. But for me, yeah,
you don't like it, and I'll bring up Auburn, Alabama, as we both cover them, and go to basketball. I remember when Chad Baker Mazzara said, I'm leaving. And Alabama got Aiden Holloway from Auburn, and they love him, You hate it. Baker Mazar if you're an Alabama fan, but as soon as he was in the portal, let's get him. We'll and he's arm. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, they all have amnesia. There's a lot of amnesia.
Yes.
It's that's what happens with fans. They lose their mind and their reasoning and logic. But when it comes to their team, the player can do no wrong unless he jumps to the other side. But anyhow, Michael, hey, we really appreciate you coming on here, and we always have fun discussing many topics in college football. And tell folks how they can find you, Michael.
WTLS, as you mentioned, Tallahassee, Montgomery area, Pike Road, AM and FM dials, online, and of course the Lindy's Football Report during football season. We're looking forward to that, and we enjoy your show too, AP. Thanks for the time.
Hey, thank you. Thanks so much, Michael. And that's it for this week's edition of AP As We See It, and we'll see you next week with another edition. Thank you so much.